Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday. It's a little chilly out. It was 10 degrees when I woke up this morning. Currently 16.5, so we're warming up nicely today. It's 23 degrees in our new cold frame that I'll show you in a later video, and 66 in the house. So we like to keep it cool when we sleep. So temperatures are coming up now a little bit, but it's a good day. I'm going to be prepping some dough for winter market that starts this this Saturday. So I'll be prepping some dough, but I had a couple questions already. Thank you guys. One was a post I made about chocolate hummus that I made here at home, and one about some pumpkin butter. So today I'm going to show the chocolate hummus, or I'm going to try to, since I'm so new at videos and editing. So anyway, let's give it a shot. We're gonna head on over to the kitchen, which is conveniently right behind me. So I got some things out and ready. I'm actually gonna attempt to make this with local beans. So I'm very fortunate to live very close to Adobe Milling Company. This is in Dove Creek, and they are a very big producer of dry land beans. Lucky me. So these are their black beans. And since we're making chocolate hummus, it'll work out really well because we won't be so concerned about the dark color of the beans. So I'm going to be using some black beans and also their Belita beans. And these, I just have a little bit left in this jar. Belita beans pick up the flavor of whatever you're cooking in. So these are really good for things like baked beans. So they pick up the flavor rather than just the flavor being around it in the sauce. But they're also a little softer and a little sweeter than your normal pinto bean. So I'm hoping with the mild taste and the sweetness, it'll really help enhance the chocolate hummus, and also really help smooth things out. So one thing about homemade hummus is if you don't skin your beans, especially garbanzo beans, it can be kind of chunky or just not as smooth as store-bought. So we're going to give that a shot, and first thing we're going to do is measure out our beans. So measuring out our beans, I have a half a cup of black beans. I'm just going to do a mix here just so kind of get the best of both bean options without one being too overpowering. So here's our beautiful pink Belita beans. So those will go in there, and then with any dry bean, you should rinse them and wash them, kind of pick them over. So just go through them and see if you have any oddballs or broken beans, dirt. Like here is either a stone or a little piece of dirt. Good. You'll then give them a nice rinse just to make sure any dust, dirt, anything bad can be rinsed off. So looks all right. So we'll give them a rinse. This will also help sort. You might find some extra defects while you're rinsing. It looks like the pinto bean might have snuck in one of these bags. Not a big deal, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. So just nice rinse with any dry bean. If you're using canned beans, which you can, you would drain the bean juice off. You could reserve that to make things with. It's a great egg replacement. Or just toss it out. And then you would rinse your canned beans as well. So get all that slimy bean juice off of them. So I'm actually going to cook my beans in the Instant Pot. So this is just a pressure cooker. There are several different varieties out there, and you can read up on the method of cooking dried beans. So this is just a quick way. You don't have to soak your beans ahead of time. If you are sensitive to beans, they make you a little bloated, then you can definitely soak these overnight and cook them the next day. Just be sure to drain the soaking water and rinse your beans really well, and then cook them the next day. So you could either cook them the next day in an Instant Pot, doesn't matter, or on the stovetop, whichever your preferred method is. And of course, for this recipe, you could use canned beans too, and I'll get into that when they're measured a little bit after they're done cooking. So, but in the Instant Pot, I know I mixed my beans, and that's okay. I'm making hummus, so if some of them turn off a little bit mushier than normal, that's fine. It'll just mean less blending. So, just gonna dump my beans in the Instant Pot. And that was a half a cup of black beans, a half a cup of Belita beans. So I have 1 cup of dry beans, and to that I will add 4 cups of water. So just adding those 4 cups, and then I'll place the lid on. And you could speed up this process even by using hot water. Set this to sealing so that it builds up pressure, and then I'm going to turn my pot on, and I'm going to go with, I think, 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. So like I said, I don't mind if they're a little overcooked. With that much water, they shouldn't stick to the pot or burn, but I want nice soft beans so that this hummus comes out nice and smooth. So we'll check back when this is done. This will start to heat up and build up pressure, and we should have fantastic beans here in less than an hour. So I have our cup of beans in here. That's a mix of Belita and black beans. And to this, I'm going to add, just for fun, some espresso powder. So I like to have lattes every day, and I just make them here at home. And so I've saved up some espresso grounds and dehydrated them, and then ground them in a little cheapy coffee grinder. And so I'm just going to add about just a shy of a tablespoon. Espresso coffee flavor should enhance the chocolate flavor, but it's not a necessary ingredient. Next, I'm going to add the cocoa powder, and we'll do 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. You can always add more once you taste test it. So 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then let's do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So vanilla extract. I like the real deal. So I happened to grab this last time I was at the store, but I'm making my own right now, so we'll see how that turns out. And then to that, we'll add a little pinch of salt. This one is just pink Himalayan sea salt, or pink Himalayan salt. So a pinch, I'd say, is maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon or so. And again, you can adjust that once you taste it. And then I'm going to use some local honey. This honey's from W. Lazy D Bison Company here in Cortez, and it is fantastic. So I realize not all of my ingredients are local, especially the chocolate, but I like to use what I can that's local. So a lot of recipes will call for maple syrup, and that's just fine. If you have maple syrup around, use that if you want. But just for fun, I'm going to use honey. I find honey is not as sweet as maple syrup, so where I might use 2 tablespoons of maple syrup for this recipe, I'll probably do 3 tablespoons of honey. Of course, honey's not the easiest to measure, so and you can always add more. So again, you might want to err on the side of caution and go a little light, and then do a taste test and see if you need to add more. Always easy to add more, not so easy to take it away. So we'll go ahead and blend this up and see how our consistency is. And it actually is looking really great. We'll just stir it down a little bit. You could also make this in a blender. You might have a little bit more control. This is a small quantity, so it wants to ride up on the sides of the container, but that's all right. We'll just push it down, give it another whirl. And it looks nice and smooth. I'll bring the camera over. So it looks really delicious. Maybe I should back away. So then, of course, we can taste it. And it's actually really creamy. So that's a good sign. Really creamy hummus is what we're going after. It is plenty sweet. I might even add just a pinch more of salt. So just a tiny bit more to kind of balance out the sweetness. So I blended it up. I did a taste test. I added just a bit more salt because it was really, really sweet. So maybe this honey just happens to be so sweet it doesn't need, we don't need 2 tablespoons for this amount. So like I said, you can always add more. So do as I say, not as I do, I guess, and start off with a small amount first, and then you can always add more later. So nice and creamy. The beauty of using these Beluga and black beans is that it got really creamy as opposed to using the garbanzo beans, which is more traditional in hummus. Garbanzo beans can end up being really chunky. They need to cook a little bit longer usually, and in order to get a really smooth hummus, they should be peeled, so they have an outer covering that needs to be kind of popped off to make a really smooth hummus. It's not necessary, it doesn't really affect the taste, but it does affect the texture. So this is a really nice chocolate hummus, dessert hummus, delicious with some fruit, maybe some strawberries, or by itself. So that's the hummus recipe I use. Again, you can switch out the honey for maple syrup, especially if you're vegan, or whatever you have on hand. You could use sugar. A lot of recipes call for a little extra milk, so if this had been um, a little dry, I could have added milk. And some also call for a fat, so you could use like a sunflower oil or a light tasting oil, or like peanut butter or nut butter. It will lend a little bit of flavor to it. Um, so just experiment with that. But the bean selection for this one, doing half black bean, half Belita, it seems like this is the desired consistency that I would want. So that's the black bean chocolate hummus, and I hope you like it. I want to show our finished product and the recipe all in one place. So I appreciate your patience as I learn how to do this editing, and just learning how a video like this should flow. But kind of reviewing things, I realized I only talked about the ingredients. So here's the recipe that I used all in one place. So the beans, espresso powder, cocoa powder, vanilla, honey, or maple maple syrup if you'd like to make it vegan, and a pinch of salt. And if it doesn't seem creamy enough or rich enough for you, you can add some optional ingredients, which would include maybe some milk. You could eat cow's milk, almond milk, goat milk, um, soy milk, whatever milk you like, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of a fat, so oil or nut butter like peanut butter, sunflower butter, cashew butter. So that'll make it richer and possibly more creamy. So if you're just wanting something a little bit more decadent or rich, feel free to add those and adjust the amount of beans you use if it starts to get a little watery or a little runny. So again, we just use the 1 cup. If you add the milk or oil, you may want to add an extra quarter of a cup. It's a very forgiving, easy recipe. This is our finished product here, so it's a nice consistency, at least how I like it. And possibly could have got a little bit smoother, although I think it's plenty smooth. But in the Vitamix, so there's an option to use a Vitamix to get it super creamy. And then just one way you can use it, I just put a little bit on top of some banana slices. This time of year, it's November 1st today, so this time of year hard to get some fresh fruit like strawberries. Definitely not in season right now. So anyway, I hope you like it. I hope you give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Tales from the Mutiny. Our blog is talesfromthemutiny.com, and hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. We certainly appreciate it, and don't worry, videos will get even better from here. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this recipe.